In the quiet town of Eldermoor, there stood a peculiar house, one that seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Its weathered facade, cloaked in shadows, whispered secrets of the past, and its windows, like hollow eyes, watched the world with an unsettling intensity. This was not just any house. It was known among the townsfolk as the Soul Eater. Legends surrounded the home, stories passed down through generations, each more chilling than the last. They spoke of the house's insatiable hunger, a darkness that lurked within its walls, waiting patiently for its next victim. Children dared each other to approach, their hearts racing as they exchanged tales of those who had disappeared without a trace. Adults, burdened with the weight of caution, warned their children to stay away, to ignore the siren call of the house that promised warmth and shelter, but delivered torment and despair. It was said that once you set foot inside, the house would begin to consume your very essence, feasting on your fears, your regrets, and your deepest sorrows. Each room was a trap, designed to ensnare the unwary and draw them deeper into its dark embrace. The air grew thick with despair, and the walls echoed with the cries of those who had come before, their souls forever entwined in the fabric of the house. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town, an unsettling energy enveloped the Soul Eater. The streets grew empty, and the wind carried an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howling of a lone wolf. It was on such a night that a brave soul, drawn by curiosity and a thirst for adventure, decided to explore the haunted halls of the cursed house. His name was Thomas. A local legend himself, Thomas had always been fascinated by the supernatural. He had spent countless nights reading about ghosts, demons, and the unexplained. Yet, as he approached the house, a chill ran down his spine. The stories flooded back to him, each one more terrifying than the last. But he brushed aside his fears, determined to uncover the truth behind the ominous tales. As he stepped onto the creaking porch, the wooden boards groaned under his weight, almost as if they were protesting his arrival. He hesitated for a moment, glancing back at the path he had traveled. The moonlight bathed the house in an otherworldly glow, illuminating the intricate carvings on the door, a grotesque depiction of faces twisted in agony. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open, the hinges protesting with a haunting wail. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of decay. The faint light from his flashlight danced across the walls, revealing peeling wallpaper and dust-laden furniture, remnants of a time long forgotten. As he ventured deeper, a sense of foreboding settled over him. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, and every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo with a sinister intent. The first room he entered was the living room, where a grand fireplace loomed like a gaping maw. Thomas could almost hear the whispers of those who had gathered here, their laughter now reduced to ghostly echoes. He moved cautiously, examining the remnants of the past. A dusty portrait caught his eye, a family, their faces frozen in a moment of joy. yet their eyes seemed to follow him, filled with a sorrow that transcended time. Taking a step back, he felt a sudden rush of cold air, chilling him to the bone. It was as if the house was breathing, exhaling a long-held breath. The sensation was overwhelming, and for a fleeting moment, Thomas felt a deep sadness wash over him, as if the weight of countless souls pressed upon his chest. He shook his head, trying to clear the fog of despair that threatened to consume him. Determined to press on, he made his way to the kitchen. It was here that the house revealed its true nature. The moment he crossed the threshold, a wave of darkness enveloped him, and the air grew heavy with despair. The shadows coiled around him like serpents, whispering secrets of sorrow and regret. Images flashed before his eyes, visions of despairing souls trapped within the walls, their cries muffled, their pleas unheard. He stumbled back, his heart racing, but the house had already begun its work. A sense of doom settled upon him, and he could feel the house's hunger, its desire to feed on his fears, to drain him of hope. The walls seemed to pulse, alive with a malevolent energy, beckoning him deeper into the abyss. With newfound urgency, Thomas fled the kitchen, racing down a narrow hallway. He could hear the whispers growing louder, a cacophony of sorrow that clawed at his sanity. Each door he passed seemed to beckon to him, promising answers, but offering only darkness. He hesitated, glancing over his shoulder, but the shadows were closing in, and he knew he had to keep moving. He burst into a small room, its walls lined with bookshelves filled with dusty tomes. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, and something more sinister, a lingering sense of despair that permeated the very fabric of the house. As he scanned the room, a book fell from the shelf, landing open at his feet. The title read, "The Souls of the Forgotten." A chill ran through him as he leaned down to inspect the pages. They were filled with accounts of those who had fallen victim to the house, their stories etched in ink, each tale more harrowing than the last. He read of a young woman who had entered seeking refuge, but had never made it out. Her laughter was silenced, her spirit trapped within the walls, feeding the house's insatiable hunger. Panic surged within him as he realized the truth. This house was not merely a structure, it was a predator, a malevolent force that thrived on the souls of the lost. He could feel its grip tightening around him, the shadows coiling like tendrils, seeking to ensnare him in their dark embrace. In a burst of adrenaline, Thomas raced back to the hallway, desperate to escape. But the house had other plans. The layout had changed, the familiar path now twisted and warped. Doors that had once stood open were now locked tight, and the walls seemed to shift, closing in around him. He could hear the whispers growing louder, a dissonant symphony of despair that threatened to drown him. "Join us, they beckoned, their voices a haunting melody that echoed in his mind. He pressed his hands to his ears, trying to block out the sound, but it only intensified, a cacophony of anguish that clawed at his sanity. Just as he thought all hope was lost, he spotted a sliver of light at the end of the hall. With renewed determination, he sprinted toward it, the shadows clawing at his heels. The light grew brighter, illuminating a door that appeared untouched by the darkness. He grasped the handle, twisting it with all his strength. The door swung open, revealing a small, sunlit room filled with vibrant flowers and the scent of fresh earth. His heart raced with disbelief. This room was a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness that surrounded him. He stepped inside, feeling the warmth wash over him as if the house was reluctant to let him go. As he closed the door behind him, the whispers faded, replaced by a serene silence. He felt the weight of the house's hunger dissipate, the shadows retreating from the light. But even as he stood there, he could sense the lingering presence of those who had come before him, their souls intertwined with the very essence of the house. Thomas took a deep breath, allowing the warmth to fill his lungs. He was alive, yet he knew he had narrowly escaped the clutches of the Soul Eater. But even as he turned to leave, he couldn't shake the feeling that the house would always be there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the next soul to consume. As he stepped back into the night, the town of Eldermoor lay before him, serene and unsuspecting. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale light over the landscape. But Thomas knew better. He had witnessed the darkness that lay within the Soul Eater, and he would carry its haunting presence with him always. In the days that followed, he shared his story with the townsfolk, hoping to warn them of the dangers that lurked within the walls of the house. Some listened, their faces pale with fear, while others scoffed, dismissing his tale as mere fantasy. But deep down, they knew the truth. They could feel the house's malevolent energy, even from a distance. And so the house remained, a silent sentinel, waiting patiently for the next curious soul to wander too close. It thrived on their fears, their regrets, and their sorrow, feeding off the darkness that resided within each of them. The Soul Eater would continue to exist, an eternal predator lurking in the shadows, always hungry, always watching. The legend of the house grew, becoming a part of Eldermoor's lore. It served as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lie beneath the surface, the hidden fears that can consume us if we let them. And as the years passed, those who dared to approach would feel the same chill of dread, the same insatiable hunger that had claimed so many before them. In the quiet of the night, the wind would carry the whispers of the lost, a haunting melody that lingered in the air. And those who listened closely would hear the call of the Soul Eater, a reminder that some houses are more than just structures. They are living entities, hungry for the souls of the unwary, forever waiting in the shadows.